Hey guys, welcome to Mouse and Merrimack. I'm Captain Chris here with
Dan Diodati.
We're inching closer, buddy. We're inching closer day by day.
We
now.
are. We had the boat show this past weekend. Got in some boats that I'm never going to be able to afford because the prices are just absolutely insane now.
The best thing about the boat show, it makes me really like my boat a lot more.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I'm so glad I bought my boat when I did. Let's put it that way.
The prices of these things are absolutely ridiculous.
It's crazy. So like one thing, the Parker 24 that they came out with this year, $140,000. Didn't even have a live well.
Yeah, if you're a hardcore fisherman, man, they're hard to find.
Yeah, like what is going on?
They're hard to find. We crawled around quite a bit. I mean, if you like cushions and you like light bulbs and things that break, and half of them things were broken on some of the boats that we went on, yeah, you're good for that. But if you want to go out there and really put a hurting on some fish and have the things that you need rather than the things that you want, it's slim pickings. So, that's why.
There was one boat that had everything I wanted. It was absolutely beautiful. It was the Everglades 365. But, nice it's only $800,000.
Are you kidding?
Oh, amazing. The boat was an absolute gem.
When we went back down the next day, there was a Cayman. I sent you the link. It was a 36-footer. I never heard of it before. That was a cool boat. That was a really well-designed boat that kind of did everything for everybody. And what I liked about it that was really unique, I had these, you know how you have forward seating in a boat and it ruins everything?
Yeah.
Well, these seats folded down into the gunnel. So you had all 360-degree fishing, but then when you wanted to sit and hang out, they just plopped right up, and if my fat ass could sit on it and handle me, it could handle anybody.
There you go.
And then everywhere was a latch with a fish box or a cooler or tackle storage, but it was all clean. It was a really nice boat. But again, I think it was like $950,000.
Yeah. So that's enough of talking about boats because we're not even talking about fishing from a boat today.
We got guys that are good enough. They don't need to cheat like we do.
Exactly. They don't need to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to catch these fish.
So tonight, guys, we got James Jewkes coming back for a second round. He came with us last year and did a great job. One of our very first podcasts, I believe.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was within the first five. So it's good.
And, he liked it so much, he brought his buddy Clay Patles out. So thank you for coming, Clay.
Yep, no problem.
All right, so let's just start off, guys. You guys are local people to us. Big Plum Island guys. You got your Surfland gear on, Plum Island Surfcasters.
Yep.
Another local fishing group in the area. Very supportive. They've been around for forever, right?
61, 2 years.
61, 62 years. Jesus. And you guys do a lot of great things there. And you guys I met you through the club, and always totally respected you as surf guys that are going out there and kicking ass, man.
Yeah, we're not cheaters and jump on those boats of yours.
Yeah, boat fish don't count, right? You're going to hear a lot of that tonight.
I know.
Actually, that's really not our mantra. Is boat fish count just as much as anything else?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
For sure.
But so how'd your season guys end up going overall?
Season. Mine went pretty well. I had a fair amount of fish between 20 and 30 pounds. I had one that was probably 36. Maybe, was it two? I had two that were pretty fat.
Yeah.
Mid 40-inch range. So.
And that's nothing to sneeze at up here from the surf.
Yeah.
That's incredible. How about you? Your similar results?
Yeah, the same. I didn't get out as much as James did, but yeah, we found some pretty good fish, 20, 30 pounds.
How often you guys getting out?
Well, I'm out probably minimum of 4 nights a week.
Yeah.
It could be 6 or 7.
Yeah, on a good week.
Yeah. I mean, I had a string last year. It was 10 nights in a row. So
there you go. Now, was that 10 nights because fishing was great, fishing was bad,
well,
or because you had
fishing was tough, and then as it progressed, it got better and better, and once you start finding fish and start to work a little bit of a pattern, I'm not going back in.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's leave work, go home and sleep 2 hours and kiss the wife goodbye.
Yeah.
Now, do you fish night pretty much every time, or like are parts of the season, like early in the year, do you start in the day, or are you guys strictly night guys?
I'd say 90% at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do our daytime trips, everybody's a topwater junkie. So if you're not getting some time in at daybreak or dusk,
You live for those bites. Those are the ones you want.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That magic hour, we call it in the morning. you
Yeah.
know, when
How do you guys find it? Do you find like false dawn being the time, or do you like that sun to come up just a little bit before things really start to turn on?
Well, it all depends. You
Yeah,
know,
that's true.
I'm not really chasing a sunrise or a sunset.
Yeah.
I'm chasing a tide,
Mhm.
not a time. You know, so one day may be right at first light, and then 2 days later you're looking at, you know, the sun's up a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
because of the tide keeps pushing ahead. You know, and then after that, you know, it's shifting back towards the nighttime again.
Yeah, and then you're getting back earlier in the night pattern.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We find that too. Like, you know, most of my trips we leave at 5, so kind of just like as the sun's coming up most of the time.
Yeah.
And then same thing with the tide. I remember we were crushing it in the morning, like right off the dock, right away. We get a good hour in before we went out to get bait, or sometimes we didn't even leave the area to get bait. And then all of a sudden it was just like you felt it. You knew that bite was going on a little bit later, but then once that tide is more like around 7:30, you know,
Yeah.
8,
Yeah.
yeah, you're gonna lose that kind of first morning bite. So you just gotta shoot out and get your bait. And it just kind of went like that overnight one day this year for us. And then it kind of seemed like that morning bite didn't happen again for a long time.
Yeah, we had a struggle between July and August. It was awful.
Yeah.
Just awful. It was a struggle. We found our fish, but they were few and far between. You know, it was just a grind.
And that's typically time of year where at least it usually does slow down, like you get those dog days of summer.
Yeah.
But usually at least you're rewarded with big fish in that time of year.
Yeah, the fish were okay.
But this year it didn't
you
seem
know?
like those bigger fish kind of hung around. We got all hours early on the boat.
Yeah, we got some fairly early.
Yeah.
I think the new moon last year was at the end of the month too.
Yeah, that has
So
a
that's
lot
where
to do
that was a big thing for us.
Yeah.
We usually have a really good September, and it was rough like the first 2 weeks of September. So we were like getting ready to write it off, and like, oh my, like we're not going to have any September, and then
Yep. And then it was turned on again, and then we had a fantastic month of October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October was a great month for fishing.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I had my last keeper November 10th
Nice. Good for you, brother.
in the surf out front.
No shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good. It was really fun.
So is that the latest you ever caught a striper, or at least
No,
a keeper up
no.
here? Really?
A keeper, yes, but
Yeah.
stripers, I've had stripers too. Thanksgiving before.
No kidding, huh?
Yeah, you just got to keep grinding.
You just got to keep going.
Yeah. Waves and waves of fish will come from Maine.
Yep.
You know, I think a lot of guys give up in October, middle of October, and kind of peters out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get back out there and keep going, because there's going to be 2, maybe 3 more waves of fish that come down through Maine
Yep.
on the migration, you know?
Well, that's the time of year my boat's kind of out of the water. I'm back to my real job,
Oh,
so
yeah.
like I'm kind of fried. And when did we go tuna fishing? Was that December?
That was November.
It was-
I think it was November.
It was late. No, it was after Thanksgiving, wasn't it? One day,
Might have been.
I think it might have been. So this is probably the latest in the year I got to fish too. So we had the weather, you know. We had
Yep,
good
yep,
weather.
we did
which
have
was
the
nice for
weather.
that.
Yeah, I was in a wetsuit until then.
Yeah, no kidding. So
Because the water's a lot warmer, so.
talk about your wetsuit, guys. So are you going out there swimming out, or just is that how you
Oh,
just
yeah.
keep it dry? You just kind of hop in. All right.
Yeah. You know, early season, end of April, we're fishing the river for shad and other things. And then once the stripers do come in, we're getting in the wetsuit in May and then not coming out until the end of the season,
Yeah.
you know. So we've actually fished the river in wetsuits, you know.
You got to be careful. They're gonna think you're a seal out there. You're gonna start a colony. Don't you have a good little story about that?
I do. So one summer we were out on Block Island fishing a rock, 2 in the morning. You know, we're about 20 yards apart, and then all of a sudden a seal just jumps right up on my rock, lays across my feet. I You'd probably never hear the scream out of me again. And then James, I can just hear his voice in the.
Wait, time out. We're recording here. What did that scream sound like?
It sounded like a little girl, about a 5-year-old.
It'll blow your microphone away. So you just hear in the middle of the night, Clay, what the fuck was that? I said a seal just jumped across my feet.
Yeah. So what was the seal's reaction though when it landed on the rock?
It had its mouth wide open and it was barking at me. We were both probably shitting bricks.
Did you have to change your wetsuit?
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Wait. So what? Did you fall off the rock? Did you? Did you put your hands like?
It was
arms
a
up?
big
Like,
rock.
let's
I mean,
go?
it was a big enough rock for 2 guys to stand on. So
okay.
I just kind of took a couple steps back. But yeah, I let out a scream and I was ready to.
The battle at Block.
Yeah, there was 3 of us on other rocks, and we hear him screaming. We're like, what the fuck is that? It wasn't like this. It was more like
It was.
I mean, it was hilarious.
But then once I yelled at them and told them what it was, they just started laughing. I could hear the laughs. It was fun.
How was the rest of the night? I'm sure you had that in the back of your mind the whole time.
Oh no, we had plenty of fish
Yeah.
till dawn. So if we go over to Block Island, it's one of those things you fish all night.
Yeah.
We get out there at dusk, and we're not going back to where we're staying until it's already light up.
Now, you were telling me before the podcast, you guys plan this out every year. You go down as a little
we
group.
go.
Talk a little bit about
For
that.
4 or 5 days. We split it up with a couple other guys and makes everything affordable, and it's a blast. It's strictly fishing. It's not like the wives get pissed because we're on vacation or anything. It's really strictly.
Do the wives
fishing.
go or the wives stay at home?
No, leave them at home.
Yeah. You better
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my wife and everything, but when I'm fishing, I'm fishing.
That's your
Yeah.
favorite.
We're in fish mode, yeah.
There's no. I don't want any distractions from anything else.
Yep.
I mean, you'd love to go over to the beaches during the day and check out the bikinis, but I'm sleeping because I got to prepare for the
You
next
got to
night.
catch that tide, brother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You got to tie up some rigs.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is true though. Like I love my wife very much, but like a fishing trip, when you're focused on the fishing, you don't have to focus on, what's gonna be for dinner when you get back, or where we're going out, what we're doing here or there. It's nice to just be like, I have one job to do right now.
Yeah,
That's
and
fish.
every time I go out, I feel it's like that. My concentration level. Once I get suited up and I'm walking out, the rest of the world doesn't even exist to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It
Hyper
really-
focused.
Yeah, because if you don't, then you're not going to catch anything.
Yep.
There's
Yeah.
too many guys out there just casting away. What are you casting at?
Yeah, it's such a great point, James, because I feel like this for diehard fishermen, like everyone that's sitting here right now, I think that's the element of it that just kind of becomes ingrained in you, is the fact that like that really nothing else matters while you're fishing. Like the pursuit of the species is really all that's on your mind. And like when you have that focus, that's what drives the success in it, and then it also drives you to do it again, right? So
Yeah, like you hear a lot of guys say you have to be dialed in, you have to be, in tune with your plug or your, where you're anchoring or whatever it is. Because once your mind twists from there, then
It takes us from that next level. Like at first, you just want to go fishing and see if there's fish around, right? Then as you get better, you start focusing on your gear and your tackle. Then you start focusing on your spots. You're focusing on like the water, the drops, the structure. And then that's the next level. You're focusing on every specific cast and what your adjustments can be from there.
Yeah.
especially us at night, if we're fishing a certain area and you're using a metal lip, you have to be in touch with that metal lip because, just through experience, we know what that metal lip should feel like going through the water.
Yeah, of
so
course.
if you're just kind of looking around doing this,
Yep.
you're not
in tune. And that's when you miss your strike.
That's when you miss it. Or
Because some of those big fish, when you're out there, I'm sure there's plenty of guys that get hit, don't even know they got hit, and it could have been their fish.
It could have been the one.
The one.
Yep.
We always talk about the one.
Yeah, I try to stay dialed in on my boat. I'll be casting, doing whatever it is, and like thinking about this and thinking about that. And even on the tough days, grind it out, and then as soon as you put the rod in the rod holder and take a leak, then you miss one. That's how it goes.
Well, if you go in a wetsuit, you can just go in the wetsuit,
Yeah,
right?
seriously.
That's it.
No pee
Got to
breaks.
flush though.
You gotta flush.
You got to rinse yourself out, man.
Funny story, not fishing story, but a beach story. When I was younger, we're on the beach. My brother, he's 4 years younger than me, so I don't know. I must have been 7. He was 3. He goes up to my mom, "Mom, I gotta pee," and she's like, just go in the water. He goes, "Okay." He goes down ankle deep, drops trowel right in the middle of the beach. He's just trying to see if he can get it over the next wave.
Classic.
That's great.
Friggin' Nicky.
That's funny.
But like just like we were talking about being in tune, I feel like a lot of the people we've had on the podcast recently, like these guys, Eric mentioned it last week. Jay Shields talks about it all the time. Justin Oser, all those guys who are really accomplished fishermen. There's things that are in common there. They go every chance they get there, and they're hyper focused when they're out there, and they take good notes and recognize situations.
Well, it's like today. I went, had my little things, even though I was off from work, had my things to do at home. Went to the Red Cross. I get my platelets. And then before I came here, I stopped and had a line in the water for 2 hours.
Oh,
So,
there you go.
yeah, you have. I ended up with one little tiny pickerel, but that's okay.
You did better than me and Dan carp fishing.
Yeah,
today.
we would try to get a carp today, but didn't happen.
This guy's a good carp fisherman.
Oh, we should have
We'll
called
get you
him.
guys down.
Give you a ring. We gotta get it down pat.
But it goes back
Going
to that
blind
thing
on
you were
this.
saying was the concentration level. Every time we're out, whether it's ice fishing or trout fishing, they say, "Oh, you're stocky trout fishing." You still got to get them.
Still gotta get them.
Or bass fishing, or we did some pike fishing, carp fishing, any of that stuff, and then rolls right into striper season. You have to be focused on your task at hand.
Mm-hmm.
So even all winter long, we're working on things, tying bucktails or soft plastics like we were talking about earlier, or doing some tuning on your plugs. I was out a couple of weeks ago casting a new rod. I'm sure the people on the beach walking thought I was freaking nuts. I know there's no fish there, but I got to do some casting and get some things tuned in.
I was at Plugs Pond a few weeks ago, with my 7.5 foot, I tossing big D's out there, like 9-inch, 10-inch spooks, and I got a couple side eyes as the trout fishermen and bass fishermen were walking by. But I'm like, they're like, "What are you trying to get with that thing? Something huge?" I'm like, "Just trying to practice, man. Just trying
Funny
to practice."
story. I go down. My grandmother passed a little while ago, 4 or 5 years ago, but religiously every Saturday I'd go down and visit her.
Mm-hmm.
So in the wintertime, I'd stop and cast in this freshwater pond down there. And of course, I have my surf gear, big plugs, the whole 9 yards. EPO guy pulls up.
Oh no!
I've had my license. I get my license right on time. But he comes out. He's like, "What are you doing?" "I'm just doing some test casting." He's like, "With what?" And I'm like, I stripe a fish and I'm doing some test casting. He's like, "Oh, let me see your license." Thought it was just bullshit.
Yeah.
But he checked me all out and everything. Gave me a hard time because they didn't have a paper copy. This is 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, I remember we did this a couple of years ago. We were testing out some new tuna rods, me and Pat McNamara. We were at Plugs Pond, kind of like right where you pull in there. And we took one and almost put it on the other side of the lake, dude. Like I had to stop it, and everyone was like, "Wow!" But a little 4-ounce lure, man, with like an 8-foot rod.
and then the freshwater, I don't even test any plugs in the freshwater.
Yeah,
Because the salt
saltwater
water
different.
completely acts different. But we're throwing soft plastic, so it doesn't matter,
Yeah,
We could do that for anything.
So, like the practice though, and like the work, and like the pre-gaming, and the preparing, and everything for striper season. I think that's part of the reason why I haven't like put an honest effort into shad fishing, only because I can't give shad fishing 130%. So it's kind of like, I could get out there, I could give it a whirl, but like I don't know, it's a different. And I don't know, a couple of weeks go by, and then we're on to striper season. So I did say to Chris today, though, I do want to catch a few shad this year. I got the boat to do it now, and there's no reason not to. But I think it's just every year I'm like, I say I'm going to do it, and I don't just because my focus is elsewhere.
yeah. Usually when the shad at least start, those are like during the week I'll be getting the boat ready when I can, and then on the weekends I'll be offshore haddock fishing.
Yeah.
So like I always try to get like at least a couple shad trips in, and then last year it seemed like it was a little bit of a late start, and I kind of didn't get into it. But I love it. It's a lot of fun when you can get into them. And we did a podcast with Eric Roach. You guys obviously
Yeah.
know Eric. Oh man, that was fantastic. I got
Yeah,
all
he's
fired up.
definitely a notebook full
Absolute
of information.
wizard. Holy crap.
Yeah,
You know, super impressive. And yeah, again, I think that's going to be kind of my goal this year is to try to get a good day in before, you know, the striper season gets going.
I
really
think
good.
for us, it's very easy transition. So we'll do some trout fishing early
Mhm.
season, and then we'll go right to shad because we don't have boats to worry about.
Yeah.
So our concentration can go right from there,
Yeah.
and we're fishing from shore, so it's like we're surf casting.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Yeah.
only in
you
the
kind of it's
river,
warming
you
up,
know?
warming up for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the fish are coming right by us to go up into Lawrence, anyways. So
Yep.
Yeah, because you kind of live down that. Oh yeah. Do you ever
Yeah.
get? Do you get? Ugh, excuse me. Do you often get stripers down there, like
Oh,
in
yeah.
your shad spots?
Yeah.
Do you ever target them up there?
I don't target them,
Yeah.
but you'll hook into them once in a while
Yeah.
on your shad spoon or your shad dart.
Yeah.
Little
Sure.
guys.
Yeah. Do you think they're holdovers?
No,
No.
no,
They're
no.
fresh
They're
fish.
yeah, they're not that small. you
Yeah.
know,
What?
15, 18 inches.
Last couple of years, I've been getting a few, or like my first few stripers of the year, except for last year, but like the last 3 years before that, real tiny, 7-9 inches.
Well,
right in that
the
range.
Merrimack has a
little holdover population or a
not,
fisher, a
yeah,
nursery?
just a fishery that's spawned here,
yeah,
but it's so small they don't even count it.
yeah.
Yeah, especially that size. I think
That
a
thing wasn't
7-inch
making the
striper
trip.
is not. Yeah, making the trip from the Hudson or Chesapeake.
So when you think about sandy, muddy bottoms, you think of the Merrimack, the Connecticut, the Housatonic, you know, right on down to the Chesapeake, and it's a breeding ground.
Yeah,
So we have holdover fish here, and they spawn in the river. Yeah, you'll see some spawned here. This year, I doubt it though. With this,
the
the way
heat.
the snow is,
Yeah,
there is no,
No
snowpack up north. So
Yeah.
how are we going to get any flow down this river? Because you have to have a certain amount of CFMs
yep.
of flow to actually get those fish to lay the eggs, and then keep those eggs afloat going down the river to hatch.
And that's a big thing with the shad too. The CFM, right? Really
Yeah.
important factor.
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, we got
Yeah, it's going to be interesting this year because we had such a dry year last year, and then with like really a no snow year for up north comparatively to winters past.
Yeah, we had no rain last summer
No,
compared to the summer before. It rained every freaking day.
Yeah, yeah.
And if you look at the last 4 spawning classes have been just atrocious. The last one almost being 2015 year class. When was that? That was when we had that huge amount of snow.
Was it that year?
Yeah, it was at 2014.
Just a little theory I have,
2014
but
winter.
That would make sense.
you know, look at 2011, good year class of
Yep.
fish, big snow.
Big snow. Yeah, how
I
about?
don't know if the biologists ever looked at that kind of stuff.
Well, we got Ben
That's a good
Cahagan.
point.
You know Ben?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming on in a couple of weeks. Him and Matt Air coming together.
Oh,
So
that's a good dude,
gonna
too.
be
That's a good dude.
that's gonna be a big nerd out session
Yeah.
on data and stuff.
Yeah,
So we're
ask him
excited for
about
one.
that.
Yeah,
That's
I will.
kind of like I always had a little thought in my head that if we get great snow and rain in the early season, does it translate to more fish?
Yeah, that's a good point because I remember like the Mother's Day flood in like 05, 06. I remember those schooly years were freaking awesome.
Awesome.
They were awesome. Like
Yeah.
120 fish, 300 fish days in an afternoon or something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never thought about it. And that kind of makes sense because that's the short-term thing that you can measure and really see if it has an effect.
Right.
As opposed to like a longer pattern of
Yeah.
maybe pollution.
And I
or-
kind of equate it to
Yeah.
all that wash coming down the river is bringing all those nutrients and everything down.
Yeah, all the food
Right?
sources and
Yeah.
kind of moving. Yeah, makes sense. I think I might be on board with that.
I don't know. I'm probably full of shit.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great theory. It's worth testing for
We'll
sure.
test it. We'll ask Ben in a couple of weeks and see his take on
Yeah, we'll
it.
put the tax dollars to work on a study that's worth it.
Yeah, no kidding, right? So you guys, you mentioned metal lips, man. I got a couple that I use once in a while, and they do well. But I don't throw them at all. I don't throw them as much as I feel like I should. And I feel like a lot of probably younger guys don't fish them as much. You know, you don't see them as the hot new lure anywhere. But
That's
they're-
my problem is I don't fish them as much as I should.
yeah,
Clay and the other two guys we fish with on a regular basis are much better at it than I am.
How do you like what you said? You mentioned you like the feel of it, right?
Yep.
So explain the feel, if you could, the best you could.
It's like everyone's been bass fishing, like largemouth fishing with a crankbait or something like that, and you can just get that feedback.
Yeah.
It's the same way.
Yeah.
And different ones give you different feedback, and like I said, just from experience, we'll know.
Are you pulling those things just on a straight line, like
Yeah.
no twitching, nothing like that?
Yeah.
Just kind of keeping
Yeah,
that cadence.
no twitching, nothing
Yeah,
like that.
just letting it wake right on top.
Just wake right on top.
Yeah, then it depends on what you want to do with it too. If you're fishing some deeper water, or you can use a troller and swim that down deeper, or you're going to put on a Danny and keep right up near the surface. And then there's also different types of lips, like the Surfster, and then the regular Danny.
So the regular Danny's right a little bit higher. Or,
Well, the Surfster is going to stay right up on
Stay right
top,
on
as
top.
well as the Danny, and then there's other the trollers and things like that will actually dig down on you.
yeah.
You know.
So I tend to fish them like, if like say I'm on the boat, right, and we're fishing like a feed of schoolies, and we see them popping on sand eels or those little tiny rain bait stuff, and then also I'll see a couple herring flip. That's when I'll throw my metal lip out there, and that's usually when I can convert.
Yeah, it's really to me, I do struggle with it, but it's a condition specific kind of lure.
Yep.
You know, I'm not using it much on a dead flat calm. A lot of guys like the dead flat calm. I like a little bit of ripple on the water.
Yeah.
You know, but then if you get too heavy, then those tend to roll out with big waves. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you're on a boat where you're just getting swells out there. You're not getting those big breakers
Yeah.
on you.
That was always tough. Like the very little bit of surf casting that I do, I always like, those waves matter, right? Like I don't know how you fish in the waves. I feel like I always get hung up or something looks silly. Like
They always matter.
yeah,
All of it matters.
yeah,
You know, so a lot of times you'll be fishing and you can see the waves coming in. So you're actually, for the most part, I'm casting just behind the wave. And then it also depends on which wave during that set of waves that are coming in too. So, you're counting, okay, there's 1, 2, 3. All right, get that out there behind that fourth one, because that fourth one's going to give you a bigger opening, or, every fifth one, there's going to be probably a 5-footer coming at you instead of the 3-footer, so it's really one of those games you play out there. You got to really pay attention and watch what you're doing.
it's survival instinct, and you guys are
Yeah.
at night, which is
Yeah.
even tougher, right?
Yeah, it can get tough. We've had nights, though, where we were out there and we're on the sand, waist deep, and those big swells just come in and you just ride them right up and right back down onto the sand,
Well, you get the wetsuit, right? So
You
a
get the
little bit of
wetsuit so
buoyancy
you
there.
can go right up, yeah.
Have either of you ever had a close call, like one where you're like, "Oh shit"?
Define a close call.
Well, I did have the one close call with our buddy Mark 2 seasons ago. We were working this trough, this cut, and very low part of the tide, and we knew the tide was coming in. So as I worked around, I had told Mark, I'm going to go over the other side of this cut and fish that side. So you're always fishing those edges.
Yeah.
Not right down the middle of that cut, but you're fishing the edges because they're going to be on one side or the other.
Yeah, and they're gonna go in or out through that
Right.
path. Yeah.
So we know the fish with that incoming water, the fish were right outside that cut. So he stayed on one side. I started going around, and it was only a matter of 20 minutes, and I could really feel that pulling. And next thing you know, I look out and I saw Mark still fishing that corner. And all of a sudden, I'm like, well, he's not really fishing anymore, is he? He's floating, and he's right into that cut, and the cut started pulling him out. And I'm the only one out there. I'm looking around, and the closest person is probably 3/4 of a mile away. I have no phone. I don't bring a phone with me.
Yeah.
So do I run back the 3/4 of a mile to the car to get the phone? He's gone before I get there. So what ended up happening, I had a sluggo on and casted that out. I'm like, that ain't getting it done. So I took the Super Strike popper I had out of my bag, and I cast it out to him. And the surf had really come up at this point. I mean, it was crazy how fast this thing came up. He couldn't hear me. I couldn't hear him. And I finally just took this one last cast, and I hit him. It landed right next to him or something, and it hooked into his wetsuit.
Yeah.
And I heard him say, "Hold on."
Oh, shit.
Right? He grabbed it, pulled it out of his thing, and then I heard him again say, "Pull." And I reeled him in.
Wow.
He wasn't afraid. I was shitting my pants. I was afraid I'm going to lose my buddy here. He's gone.
Afterwards, were good.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
He it was like reeling in a 180-pound guy.
Oh, my God.
You know?
Wow.
Of course, you're not reeling every bit.
Yeah.
You know, he's up at the top of the wave, and once the wave comes in, you reel.
Pick out that slack.
You know? But that was a test.
Good thing you're a sniper, huh?
I'm generally a very sloppy caster.
Yeah.
And just whatever it was, it happened to put it on top.
That's
of
an incredible story.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
That's amazing.
I mean, what are you using for line?
30-pound braid.
Wow. Is
50-pound monolita.
it Power Pro that you're using?
No. I never
Ooh,
used.
not a
I
Power
haven't
Pro.
used Power Pro in 45 years.
No shit.
Yeah.
What kind of braid you like?
Suffolk's 832. The Daiwa J braid. I run two different kinds. This year I'm trying out this. I think it's Samurai.
Okay.
Oh no, the Berkeley X9.
Okay.
The initial cast I took with it, is it smooth?
Yeah, it's one of those. Is it like a smooth coated
Yeah,
type?
it's 9-strand and
Oh, wow.
and soft, supple.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like just limp.
Is it
You know?
pricey?
Very pricey.
Yeah.
Yeah, real pricey. But for my surf rod in the sand, I'm going to run 20-pound all season long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with no fear of losing fish.
It's amazing
I'm on
how
the beach.
strong that stuff holds, you know?
Yeah.
I drop down, I typically would, on my charters, would use 40-pound braid, more so for tangles than anything else. But, like, my haddock rods, I started fishing, we'll probably talk about this later, but I started jigging a little bit more for haddock and using smaller jigs. And I put 20-pound on a lot of my bass rigs, and we're fishing those for haddock. And it just doesn't break. If your knots are good, it's not going to break, And then I think about it. Like, when I was younger, we used to fish, like, 17-pound mono for stripers.
Yep.
Pink Andy.
Right? Yeah, Pink Andy. Yep, Pink Andy. And we did Yozuri Hybrid was a big one for us, too. Yep. So.
Well, I mean, when you think about 20-pound line, and then you think about your ratio for your drag, I mean, 5 pounds of drag is a lot of drag. Like, that's a fair amount of drag. So, like, for the break strength, in most braided lines, 7-9 strand, like they're whatever they say they are, it's probably almost twice that for how powerful they
For
are.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, like
Much
Chris said,
over
as long as you have confidence in your terminal tackle and your knots,
Yep.
it's
You can catch a mark. Right? Your buddies.
Yeah.
you can catch a mark.
Clay, what kind of knots are you tying?
I tied directly from my braid to my leader. I'll use a uni to uni knot.
Yep.
That way it just runs right through the guides.
It's so quick and easy to tie. You know that to me, like on the boat, I have to retie something. Uni gets it done 2 seconds. I'm wicked confident.
Yeah, I'm like I'll do the FG at home, like
Yeah.
getting everything prepared, and then as soon as something breaks or something, if something happens, then I'll just go to the
Yeah,
uni
figure
on the
we're
other line.
we're out in the middle of the night. It's
Yeah.
dark as hell, and I need glasses to read.
Yeah, you could tie it with
See,
your eyes closed.
And you can tie it with your eyes closed.
Yeah.
you know.
100%. And I'm uni on my. Are you guys unis to your lures and you?
I use an improved clinch
Yeah.
right to my tactical
Right to the
anglers clip.
Yeah.
125-pound clip. Uni to uni braid.
So that's
or
a good size
if I'm-
clip, the 125-pound clip.
Well, they're
That's-
fishing
yeah.
big lures.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that 125 clip just seems to fit better on the
It's like a
plugs.
paper clip.
Yes.
Yeah,
Not
it's
that big.
it's pretty strong paper clip.
Yeah.
You know.
I have to stock up, and I've had a lot of the 70. I usually use I don't even know, 50s and 75s a lot for what I do because I'm not throwing huge like lures.
Well, the 75 is pretty small. And then
Yeah.
you go to the 50. I like to use the 50 for fresh.
Wait, what do I do?
Yeah.
I think I do the 50s for albies. It depends on what size of the hooks I'm using. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But like I said, I've had a couple bend and open up and stuff like that. So I've been looking around for like new ones, and those ones have been pretty good to me. But I kind of like. Have you seen the new BKK ones?
No.
They have kind of like a different design. They're a little bit shorter. And the
Yep.
wire gauge seems to be a little bit thicker,
Really?
and they kind of rounded, so it looks like the lures might be able to swing a little bit better. So I think I'm going to pick up a pack and just see how those work and kind of compare them.
How about at hooks? Have you used any of the BKK
Oh,
hooks?
they're so beautiful.
Love
Oh
them.
my God.
Love them. You
As
know
soon
what?
as
They're
you want, like,
good prices too. They're
Yeah.
not that expensive.
Yep, I
Yeah.
went straight to the 9.0
Yep.
BKK inline circle, and it's like I didn't even lose a single fish off an eel this season.
So I got a
it's
question
crazy.
for you. The not because I'm looking to get some. They're just Surfland has some, but they didn't have the ones I was looking for. Are you using the heavy duty circle 9/0 ones?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're coming out. One of the reps that we saw at the boat show, they're coming out with a light gauge wire. I like using the light gauges for mackerel and stuff like that. It keeps it a little bit lighter.
Yep.
And I didn't see them on the website. They kept saying out of stock, and I couldn't find them anywhere. But I guess they're coming out with them soon. So I'm really excited to take a look at those and kind of switch over to those. They're just super sharp.
Yeah.
They're super corrosion resistant.
yeah.
The price
it's,
is right.
It's like the sides on them are flattened.
Yeah,
Which I think is what's adding that strength.
I agree.
And then when you start getting to like the 9.0, usually 7, 6, their gap is so. But you go to that 9.0, if you're catching anything that's over 20 pounds, you need that
You need
gap.
that gap. That gap's so
Because
important.
that lip is so thick. You need that gap to get over
Mm-hmm.
that lip, and that 9/0 is just kick ass.
And that's another thing. When I was seeing the heavy duty ones that I've seen in the stores, the gaps are wide. Like I'm currently running mustads right now, and they've been a great hook for me. But they kind of corrode a little bit. They're not very sharp, I like them better than my Gamakatsus. I have Gamis that snapped on me and things like that. Owners are just too expensive when I'm getting 200 of them a year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I really like the size of the gap of the PKKs when it comes into live bait fishing. But on my tuna lures, a lot of times with the tuna lures, you have to switch out a lot of the components, and I've been using their hooks for those, and they're just super sharp. I hate even just grabbing my lure. I get snapped.
Yeah, I use the mustad for all my jig hooks and
Yep.
things like that. And every single mustad hook you have to
You have to sharpen.
right out of the box.
Well, they say mustad is Swedish for not sharp.
Yeah. But those
But they're great
BKK,
hooks.
you don't have to do anything to them.
I mean, right down to the branding, they're just sparkling on the shelf when you walk in. It's just like,
They have great packaging. I almost bought a hat at the
I
boat
was
show.
like, oh my god, these things are beautiful.
I've been actually using their I think it's the Titan.
Yeah.
Their screw in for my weightless sluggos.
Swim bait hooks.
Yeah, the swim bait hooks. Those are solid. Those are solid. Again, they're a little bit thinner gauge than like the Eagle Claw Trocars or the
Oh, I
Oners
don't
was
find
using.
so. I don't find that at all.
I find them strong, but they're a little bit thinner. They don't. I feel like they're not splitting the baits as much.
But like I said,
and they're
though,
penetrating
it's,
better.
It's that flattening
It's
of
that
the
flattening.
sides.
That's what
I
it
don't
is,
think
probably.
it's the gauge that's getting
Maybe
thinner.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good point.
But
And I
I'm
like,
using those swim bait hooks. I'm using 10s and 12s.
yeah,
Huge.
for what the 9-inch. Yeah, I'm using.
Yeah, for 9s or the 12-inch sluggos, you
Yeah.
have to step it up. I mean, the 12s
They're
look
hu-
huge,
yeah.
but they have the little bait keepers on there.
Mhm.
And-
That little plastic thing is awesome. I want them to put
Yeah.
that on their circle hook, so my mackerel doesn't spin back on itself. That
Oh,
would
that's a
be
good idea.
That would be ideal. I would love to get that. But yeah, they've been a relatively new company, at
Yeah.
least for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it started because we got some Nomad lures, and they came with the BKK hooks. And then we started doing a little bit of tuna fishing more this year. We had them back in our area, so I had plugs that are 10 years old that never got wet, and had to put some new hooks on, and that's what I ended up going with. And pretty happy
the
with it.
reason I started using those 9.0s is I do a little report for Dave Anderson at the Fisherman.
Okay,
And I happened to get a little package from the boss saying, "Hey, thanks for doing those," And they had those BKKs in there, and I tried one. I just fell in love right off the bat.
yeah,
Crazy.
they fit perfectly on that.
They do.
The length of it, and that screw eye is
Yep.
good. It's a good screw eye. And you know what? I like too. It has a little bit of a bigger eyelet, so the clips go in
clips.
pretty well. my small 50-pound clips. I don't know about the
I know.
125 you could throw it out there. And I actually just picked up a bunch of their jig heads too because I like the other stuff better.
Yeah, the jig head designs and everything nowadays have just come a long ways in just a short few years.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Which ones do you guys like in these days?
I pull my own,
You pull your own. You
but for the
savage.
most part, I'm a weightless guy.
Yeah.
Everything's weightless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
You're
if you
throwing
want
big plastics too, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
9, 12, 15-inch plastics,
Yep.
just depending upon
Yeah,
conditions.
so you can get a few ounces of weight just with those,
Just
which
with the plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. Last week we had Eric on here, right? And he was talking about he rarely fishes weightless. He's a lot more like jig heads, like half ounce and 3/4 ounce.
Yep.
I think he was saying, and he's fishing shallow out of a kayak. You guys are fishing, shallow because you're off a beach, right? Whereas I'm on a boat, and I'm probably like a 50-50 split because sometimes I'm fishing on the edge in the deep channel. Sometimes I'm up tight. Sometimes I'll be on the flats even. But I'll get bit on a jig head, a little half ounce or 3/8 ounce, and just dragging it on that bottom part, and the weightless won't get hit. Sometimes I'll be in 20 feet of water, and the weightless will get.
Yeah,
sailed.
don't get me wrong. I always have something that's got a little bit of weight to it with me.
Yeah.
Half ounce head or 3/4 ounce head. But if we're jigging the river off the jetty, or say we're in the park or somewhere and we're jigging in there, we could be throwing 2 or 3 ounces.
Yeah.
That's a rarity, but I do it.
Do you guys ever try the hooks with the weight on the bottom, the keel weight? Have you ever worked those?
No.
Yeah, I never. I have some, but I
Yeah.
never really put them on. So I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense to me either.
Probably for me.
Although I do know that Toby Lipinski does do something like that with a rubber core weight.
Yeah.
He'll take the rubber out and he can clamp that right on and then put whatever size weight he
yeah,
wants on there.
that's actually how the BKK ones work too.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
like the owners where they're kind of welded in. I think the BKK ones I saw at Surfland the other day, I noticed that you could take them off and swap out. It comes with two different size weights that you can choose for the
Just-
hook.
Yeah, that's
Clamp it
cool.
on.
So that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That is cool. I like the owner hooks. Yeah. So
Z-Man's a nice.
if
nice.
we're talking jig heads,
Yeah.
the Z-Man jig heads are awesome. I like that there's some weight in the shank and they have a nice grabber for the plastic, so like you could super glue them on. But if you're just changing them out, like they hold well. You're not fixing the thing every time you
Yeah,
roll it
yeah.
in. And they're just basic, nothing fancy about them. But
It's all specific for everybody anyways, because
Yeah.
you really break it down,
yeah,
what you like and what I like,
yeah. it
two
could be
separate
totally
things.
different things.
Yeah.
Even though I'm
But-
fishing right next to clay, we're still using different things, you know?
Yeah.
Now, do you make your own jig heads? Do you use his? Do
No,
you buy
I
your
just
own?
scoop a couple out of his
Right?
box.
Yeah.
It's like having a friend with a boat,
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
No, but
Yeah.
back to like what James was saying, I think us fishing together, what really helps us is we're kind of two different entities out there fishing. He might seem to like he changes out a lot more plugs, and then I might stay with one longer, and we kind of feed off each other that way, and
Yeah.
it always works out.
Yeah, and then when you start adding another guy or 2 or 3, we always have our crews very small. There's not many of us. But all 4 or 5 of us will be using different items out there.
Yep.
And somebody's getting fish. Guess what? What's going on?
Right?
Yeah.
The phone starts ringing, or you probably do hand signals to people out there.
Oh, yeah. We all have our
Do you
little...
flash your lights? Do you
No,
have Morse code
no,
out
keep
there?
the lights off. Keep the lights off.
We have.
Well, we can hear it, and then you'll hear the Velcro.
From the bag, yeah.
that kid Hugo that we were just talking about a minute ago that just called me. He was like, "Oh, I want to film some stuff for Mouse on the boat at night." I'm like, "You can't." I'm like, "You can't really film at night." And he goes, "I got a question. Like, should I get? Well, we could just turn the light on." I go, "You want to get shot? Like, don't
Oh,
you
yeah.
dare! Don't you dare!" Actually, I think somebody just posted in the Mouse forum about adding a light to their boat, like for that situation. And I'm gonna be like, "No, don't do it." Don't
Like,
do
we're
it.
okay. If you have a red light, it's okay. But white light,
It blinds you.
oh, not only does it blind you, but if you look at John Skinner's videos that he does at night, he's proven that you flash that white light, the bite will go away.
Spooks.
It may come back, but it will go away for a little bit,
Yeah.
you know? And that's your shot at that fish.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what you
It's gone.
spent all that time and money and research and everything
Yeah.
on. And you just had to hit that light and gone.
Yeah, if we're out there and we see the lights, we go the other way.
What about like boats that are out there with no lights fishing in tight?
Well-
you guys get close to those guys?
Yeah. And that can be a problem because, we cast.
Yeah.
Some of our casts are, 100, 125 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys in the boats are up tighter than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't get too much of an issue. But on those commercial days, those guys are in those small skiffs out there,
Has it been? I haven't done the night commercial
Oh, yeah.
thing in forever. Is it a shit show now?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You can see them out there
Yeah.
because all of a sudden you'll see a little glow from the boat
Mm-hmm.
because they have the,
cell
light down
phone.
below
Yeah.
the
Little
gunner.
cell phone comes out and the rest of them come down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's
And then the shore shit, as soon as someone turns that light on the shore, you'll see.
Yep.
Because
Yep.
they can see that reflection of that fish and
Yep.
they'll scoop right over.
yeah. So a guy's like half a mile down the beach, and he turns his white light on, and if he's got a fish, I know what size fish that he just took in.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a half a mile away, I can still see it.
You can see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, for sure.
Are
'Cause
you?
everything's in heightened.
Is your night vision good enough that you don't have to turn your light on? You can just feel it, get the hook
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. How about how's the fishing when you guys have the bioluminescence? Do you get that often out there?
Oh,
yeah.
it can be fun.
It's good.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I mean, is it last year? We had this little bite going on, and the bio had moved in, and it was ridiculous. I mean, you could
It's
splash
cool,
a
man.
plug out there and watch your plug, and then the bio doesn't really affect much. And all of a sudden, you see your plug gone, and then you're hanging on, and the splash is just taking off. It's really cool.
So
Really cool.
So I bet 90% of the people listen to this have no idea what we're talking about. So anybody want to give a little spiel on what bioluminescence is? Was it plankton?
It's some
Yeah,
type of bacteria
it's
in
like
the water, right?
phytoplankton in the water. So when you see the waves flop over, they light up like a little fluorescent green thing,
It looks
Yeah.
like when we're in the boat, like back when we go tuna fishing, and we're leaving the mouth at 2 a.m. And once you get out a little bit, and it looks like sparks flying
Yeah.
off your engine.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
cool. I remember my first time seeing it with my dad. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
The best way is
alien.
like to describe it's like blue sparkles in the water.
Yeah.
And there's some nights where we're standing, chest deep, and you wave your hand, and you can just see your hand go back and forth.
Yeah,
So
it's
cool.
wild.
Yeah,
It's
or you'll stand there and you'll have a current that's coming across you,
Yeah.
and you see the trail, like the vapor trails in the planes were coming off your legs.
No kidding.
With the bio,
Yeah, I had one night in I was down at the Cape visiting some buddies, and we were out at the bars like all night, and then we were staying in Dennis the first night, and I ended up sleeping on the beach. But like I was running, I was running around. Yeah, we'll call it sleeping. I was running around. We were kicking the water, and it was making these huge waves. It was like just lighting up, and I had no idea what it was at the time. And I was like, what am I on right now? This is amazing.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I was up on the island, and I was alone, and the fog rolled in. It was so thick, I got completely disoriented. I was about waist deep. I couldn't figure out where the beachhead was because I was out probably 150 yards.
Oh yeah,
And,
wow.
and I'm like, really, I was started to panic. And I slowed myself down a little bit. And it was because of the bio in the water that I saw moving past me
it looked
that
like
I
it
knew
might have
which
been
way
land.
to go.
No kidding.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. As soon as I figured out which way I was going and gaining on it, then I just moved down to a particular spot that I knew and continued to fish. But the fog rolled in so thick, it was insane.
And you never really think about fog at night, but man, what a tough combination that must
Yeah,
be.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was those little waves that were washing over with the bio that showed me my way.
Now, is there any pattern to the bio, like when it's in there, or it's
I have
just
no
like I
idea.
feel like just sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Like, Yeah, I never really noticed anything, but I'm not out there at night like you guys every night.
Yeah,
No.
I haven't seen.
I've
any
never,
real
yeah,
pattern.
no pattern. It's just
Yeah.
like you said. It's
It's either there, it's not.
one night it's there. You go back 2 nights later, and it's not.
Well, it makes sense that the fishing would be good there because that's the chain reaction of the food chain, right?
That's what I think.
That's what
I
I
don't
would
know,
think.
but you would think that the small silver sides and smaller bait fish and stuff are feeding on some of that
Yeah,
stuff.
I would
I
think
guess,
so.
yeah.
Yeah. So,
That's a question.
I don't know.
I know, Jesus.
I'm gonna go
Now you
down
got
the
a couple
wormhole
of
right
them.
now.
Right? Now you got a couple of
Seriously.
them for Matt and
Yeah.
Speaking of wormholes, this was a conversation that we had with Joe Cocklavecchia the other day. Do you know Joe, the fly guy?
yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about worm hatches and fishing worm hatches down
Yep.
at the Cape. And I'm like, I could have swore like I've heard about worm hatches up here, and I don't think I've ever seen one. Have you guys ever experienced that up around this area?
I know it happens.
It's got to happen. I've seen a handful here and there.
Yeah.
I've never seen like a all-out hatch like they have in like a Newport and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I know down there they have some pretty big ones, but I've never seen a full all-out. Like I said, I've been waiting before, and I've seen maybe 10 of them over here.
Yeah.
Walk up 10 more, but I've never seen a whole.
I know, that'd be wild one day.
Yeah.
We actually took a trip to me and one of my clients, JJ. We went down to Florida to Key West specifically to fish a worm hatch. My brother did some filming with my other friend down there and down in Key West, and he's like, "Dude," and my brother doesn't fish, right? And he's like, "You have to go do this. You would absolutely
Really? Yeah.
love it." So it's in May, around the full moon in May. They get the worm hatch in Key West, and all the tarpon are there, all munching down on them. And you fish with sluggos. You fish
Oh,
like,
really?
yeah, we were fishing like 10K Saragosas and Stellas and just casting sluggos and like 2-ounce jig heads and ripping them across the top, dude. And these tarpon, the way they just come and track it down.
Yeah.
Oh, but of course, every time I go anywhere to go fish, we had a freaking cold front come through on the plane ride down there, and they kind of shut off for a few days. We landed 2. I think we jumped 16 in 4 trips, basically 1 in the morning, then we went back out in the afternoon. So it wasn't like there was no fish around. I mean, there was fish around. They weren't biting a thing. I never seen
Yeah.
anything like. We saw acres
Really?
of them rolling, and like,
That's what I've
Wouldn't
heard about
touch
those
nothing.
worm hatches, though. They could be pretty difficult because
Yeah.
they get so fixed on
Like,
those worms.
they had that little cold front, and it slowed them down. And then like 3 days later, I guess it was mayhem, as it goes. But what was crazy about them too, I don't know if it was just because they were being a little bit more finicky, but like you would get little taps on your sluggo, and it was like these 100-pound, 80 to 100-pound fish were hitting softer than schoolie stripers.
Right, just
They're just
nubbing it.
whacking the little tail, like just a little bit. I actually caught a bit more once I started slowing down and kind of fishing it like I would up here a little bit. Yeah, but guys, if you ever get a chance, that is something. that
Oh,
is
it's on the
just-
bucket list for sure.
Oh man, I would go back down there in a second. And that whole Key West lifestyle, you talk about going down to Block Island and like strictly about fishing. Yeah, I mean it's strictly about fishing and the restaurants and stuff too, man. It's a good time. It's a really good time. I can't live down there. I'll be in trouble, dude. I would not do anything but fish and eat fried chicken sandwiches at the Hurricane Hole.
That's funny. It's funny you don't eat fish, right? Because it's like you go down there and fish and you see fish.
You know what? I do eat like mahi. I like mahi a lot. I like
Yeah.
grouper.
Okay.
I can't get into haddock. No way can I. I've tried striper like 5 different ways, man. I can't get into
I don't eat
striper.
fish, period.
Yeah, you don't either. Yeah,
None.
none. I will.
I
Never,
mean, if I have to, I will.
yeah, I won't like order fish or I won't like buy fish. But if someone wants to make some mahi sandwiches. I'm on vacation. I'll have
Yeah,
one.
little blackened mahi, side of coleslaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? You a big fish eater?
Yeah,
You
I
take
am.
it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You smoked trout last year that we
I
caught,
did,
right?
yeah.
How was that?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I smoked it with applewood, and it was delicious. And it made an absolute mess out of the smoker, though. It's got so oily.
Did it smell bad?
No, it didn't. No, I took care of it. Like I cleaned it up. If I had let it sit there, I probably would have. But it was definitely a huge mess to clean up. Because last year, the fish that they stocked were huge. They were really big.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
was like, what am I going to do with all this fish? And I'm like, you know what? I'd cooked one up, and I'm like, I'm just going to smoke the rest, and then I'll have it. And it was definitely worth it. It's good. I do want to smoke striper. I did not eat a single striper last year. I didn't take home any fish at all. Told myself I was going to do that and feel good about it. And then let's see.
Thank you.
No, absolutely.
Because the fishery is in trouble.
Yeah, that's the way I
don't
see
care
it,
what
you know?
guys say. The fishery's in trouble.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know. I want to keep it going, and if I don't know what I think happens a lot with bass is like they're big fillets you get out of the fish. You know, so if you cut up a fish, you have 2 good sized fillets. You're probably going to cook one the first night, and then what's going to happen to that second one?
In the trash.
You know, yeah, it's
In the
either going to
freezer
end up
forever.
either that or it ends up at the bottom of the freezer. You know, it's not.
Yeah, it's not like freezing a piece of hamburger.
Exactly.
right?
Like you only have so long with it, and like, granted, you can vacuum pack and all that stuff, but it's not something you go back to. Now, tuna, on the other hand, like I will pan pack
I was
one
going
of
to
those
say, you got a
things.
couple freezers full of tuna
Yeah,
right
and
now.
I will absolutely eat every single morsel of that. Like it's, I eat it every single week. I mean, I would eat it every day if I didn't have, if it didn't give you mercury poisoning. But
Dude, is that a thing with bluefin?
well, it's just any fish really. There's a mercury. There's actually like striped bass. You're technically not supposed to eat it. I think it's, and this was, I'm just spitballing here, but it's like once every 2 weeks or 3 weeks that you actually should be consuming it. Because if you consume it anymore, then you could have elevated levels.
Oh, I never knew that.
But there is a chart out there somewhere. Maybe we can put a link on the podcast when we get it out. But I don't know. Like there's something about keeping the bass. Like I used to keep them all the time, and I just don't want to do it anymore. You know, I'd rather see them live, rather see them swim away.
Yeah, and as far as like all my plugs and everything, I still use 2 treble hooks on certain plugs.
Mm-hmm.
Not many, but for the most part, you know, it's all inline hooks for the rear,
Yeah,
treble in the front,
Yep,
or
that's kinda how
just
I
a
wriggle.
single treble.
absolutely. Yeah, like
and a flag.
The inline hook in the back is like it's the way to go. I mean, you're not fighting down in a fish's gullet to try to get that hook out of there, and it's a lot easier. And it's like, especially with bigger fish, it's easy to work a pair of pliers behind the gill plate and just get something out rather than
Yeah,
trying to
if
fight
you have
with-
a treble on that rear hook and they get it from the back and it's that treble is down its throat, oh, it's awful.
yeah.
Or even on the outside, it catches underneath the gill plate or something.
Yep.
and
Yeah.
It's,
And
you know,
rip it sideways.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back to
Or
those
it's-
metal lips. A lot what we see is that rear treble will be behind the gill plate or in.
And then how many times could it even leverage itself off and you lose the
Oh,
fish?
yeah. Oh, easy.
You know,
Yeah,
I think about that all the time, and I always feel like I hate like when we have treble hooks with like people on my boat who might be a little less experienced, you know, and they're high sticking it next to the boat, dude. All I'm thinking about is these 6 trebles coming right in my face.
Yep.
Oh, wear sunglasses. You know, as a guy who's leadering every fish that comes on the boat most days, my sunglasses have saved my eyeballs at least 5 or 6 times in my career.
Especially with bluefish too. Oh my god.
Well, that was the
It's,
thing
like,
too, dude.
deadly.
We got all those. The bluefish came in, and then it was like a rush to get all the trolling plugs, right? Like I caught like my first 2 bluefish, and I saw what the wind was doing the next few days. I ran to Surfland, I cleaned them out. I cleaned out Crossroads, I cleaned out Hudson's, and I had all these plugs, but I didn't switch anything over. I was just fishing those double trebles, and with bluefish, oh my god, it sucked.
Yeah.
It sucked. It was a nightmare just taking
It's
every
honestly
hook out.
awful because the jaws are so powerful too, and like you're trying to like pry one of those things out. If you like double stick it with a treble hook, it's like the worst.
Dude,
thing
how about
ever.
when you double stick a bluefish with its mouth closed with both trebles
both
inside?
trebles
through it.
Oh, well,
So for us in the surf, it does actually get easier than you guys on the boat. So you're hanging over the gunnel
Yep.
trying to get these fish if you're not using a net. For us, if we're standing in water up to our
it's
waist,
gonna be buoyant right there.
it comes right to us, and we'll just lip the bass, and out she comes.
Yeah.
So I'm
You
going
know?
to tell a story that started off. This story started off awful, and then it ended up on a positive light. So I caught it was like a 33 or 34 inch bass on a dock. The fish swallowed the whole dock, and I was like, all right. So like now I have this mouth, and then I have this bait that's like in this thing's mouth, like so much that it's like I don't even know how the hell I'm going to get it out. So I have the fish lip, but the treble hook is right there. And I'm like trying to work it out, and I get the first one out. I'm like, oh, I only have the back one to do. I'm behind the gill plate, and that fish kicks, and I drop the fish. And when I dropped him, I broke my line because it was a big fish. It hit the gunnel and fell in the water with the dock in its mouth. And I'm like, oh my God, I just killed this fish. Like, this is awful. Like, it has this giant log in its mouth. It's going to choke on it. It's going to die.
Gone.
Well, about 3 or 4 minutes go by, and we go around, and the fish it swam away, and it wasn't bleeding. And we go around the bend of where we were fishing, and there it is, the dock, just floating up the river.
I remember that.
The fish spit
Are
the
you
thing out.
shitting me?
I couldn't even believe it. I was like, oh my God, I got the lure back, and I can sleep at night because I'm pretty sure this fish survived. Like, it was a hell of a
I've had that happen
experience
to me before too with the dock, but we ended up getting it out, and I had singles on. So, but when you told the story about a 33-inch fish with that huge thing down its throat,
it's like, how did
I
it
laughed
happen?
because I remember looking at it, being like, "Uh-oh,
Yeah.
what do I do now?"
Yeah, it was awful, but I'd like to think he's still out there.
I love using the dock too, and James gives me a lot of shit for it.
Dude, my first time using the dock was down in Rhode Island years ago, and the guy that was showing me it, he goes, "Here, I'm going to give you one." He goes, "Now this is the original. It's got the original rattle in it." Dude, it made a different noise. It made a thunk, 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 thunk. He's like, "Take care of it." Right? And that was my dock. Like, no one used that dock. So I'm fishing one day. We were fishing, we were anchored, but there's like a nice little place where you could cast a dock in the little seam while we chunk our baits out and shit. And I put my dock rod down for a second to deal with the fish, and one of my clients grabs the rod and casts it, and I just hear a snap, and I just see, and I'm sitting there on anchor, and I'm like, no.
Gone.
Oh, that's funny. You know what? To me, the dock, it's like, you could call it the baby rattle, right? Because it's just this like big, huge chunk that just knocks, and like I feel like a monkey could do it. You just throw it in, and smash it around, and reel it in, and you catch a fish.
You want to hear a little trick with it? When you move in spots, like if you're on the flats and you're just bouncing around, just throw it behind you and troll it, and have someone just do it. Yep.
Yeah. I actually made the switch though. Because it's a little less expensive. Jigging World makes the bone, and it has red eyes, and then it has BKK hooks on it. Though.
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
That one does?
Yep.
Oh, no kidding.
So for us, fishing a spook in the surf is a little different than you guys on the boat.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys,
What's
you
that?
guys don't fish spooks often, do you?
Oh, all
Yeah,
the
'cause-
time.
Oh, you do? Okay.
All the time.
Yeah, because I fish a lot of spooks.
But it's just a little bit different because you're standing up and you're almost above the lure. We're fishing parallel with the lure, so we have a little bit different cadence when we're fishing
Yeah.
those spooks,
So how would you describe the cadence?
It's probably you. First of all, you're working it from the side,
Yep.
and the cadence is almost softer than what you would do on the boat.
Mm-hmm.
So you're more or less walking the dog.
You're really
making it kick.
You're really making it just side to side. You're not killing it whenever you want.
Yeah.
When you're up on the boat, you can just kind of mash that thing around. In the surf, you really have to be cognizant because as you're reeling, we have these waves coming in, and the wave is actually taking some slack
Mm-hmm.
and putting some slack into your line and stuff. So you really have to kind of incorporate that into your retrieve as well with the spook.
I notice with my clients a lot of times, like if we're fishing spooks, that's when the tangles start happening, because they're working
Yeah,
it
you
too
get that
fast or
slack.
something. They're getting the
Yeah.
slack and it tangles up on the tip, and there goes a guide on the next cast, the one down from the tip. Yeah. So I tend on my trips, I don't fish a lot of spooks on my charters as much as I probably would if I was normally fishing.
I really only fish one spook, and that's my buddy Larry, Big Fish Larry, his Blitz Seeker. So
Yeah. You got some at the boat show at our show, one of the shows last year, right?
Yeah.
Your first cast was a nice fish.
Yep. I went with the Big D.
with Big D's, Big
Oh,
D's
it was
spooks are
Big Don.
yeah.
Big Don, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was the same guy.
No, it was the Big D, and I absolutely crushed fish with that
Yeah.
thing. It was
His are very nice spooks. Too.
Yeah, if I got like the one, maybe the 1.5, and then the 2.5. Does that sound right? The weights aren't on them, so
He'll be at our
the big
Plum
one
Island
and the
show
small
again.
one,
Yeah.
both worked very well.
Yeah, and then when they had the show in the fall, and he had like all the all like the cheaper ones, like something was wrong with them or something like that. I don't know. They
Yeah.
were on
Yeah,
sale,
yeah.
so I got like 4.
So Big Dawn spooks are kind of almost towards a 24/7 type spook,
Yeah.
whereas the Big Fish spook, the Blitzseeker, has a definite different shape and profile. I just happen to prefer that profile better.
So what is the shape of this one?
It's definitely fatter in the middle,
Okay.
and then tapers off slower than the big D's.
Okay, so the big D versions that I got actually have that pattern to it, so they like fatter in the
But
middle.
when you look at the big D's, his is definitely a narrower spook,
Okay, yeah.
right, on both ends and in the middle. So the Blitz Seeker will actually come up and be much fatter in the middle and then taper off slower. He does have a smaller version also, but that's more compact
Mm-hmm.
and almost like a football,
Okay.
which when you're chasing some schoolies, those things are just insane.
Yeah.
You know, they're like the perfect profile of that mid-size bunker.
Yeah, like that, like 6-inch bunker or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah. And you make your own lures too. We were talking about it earlier. You make your own sluggos.
Yeah,
right?
I
Your
pour my own
plastic.
sluggos and pour my own lead. I've had plenty of guys asking me about the lead and stuff, and I discourage it because it's toxic
dangerous.
and hazardous.
Mhm.
Same with the soft plastic. You know, it's toxic and hazardous. You got to make sure you have your gloves because you're heating stuff to 350 degrees with the plastic.
Yeah.
With the lead, you're talking it's 650.
So if I was gonna start my own make my own plastics, right? Where do I get my material? What would I get?
There's a whole host of different plastics that are out there.
Yeah.
And you can go to Lure Pots online or Do It Molds has their own line. Any of those guys, Bait Plastics. I mean, there's
There's
tons
a ton of them. I'm sure the
Yeah.
freshwater market is insane.
Oh,
with
it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
crazy. You think we're nuts?
that. Yeah. no
Those
kidding.
freshwater bass guys are just ridiculous.
Well, think of all the innovation that comes from there that filters its way after a couple of years down to us.
Yeah.
Probably soft plastics
Yeah.
started with that.
And then the soft plastics, it's all about getting your mixtures right, So
Yeah.
they have floating, sinking, saltwater blend, crawfish blend, this blend, So you really have to kind of play with them. They have hardener for it or softener for it. I mean, whatever colors you want,
Yeah.
whatever sparkles you want. I mean, the whole thing is endless.
Yeah.
But for me, in the salt, I'm basically using what I call midnight, which is kind of this black pearl with a little bit of flake I put in it, or the white is just a white pearl,
Yeah.
similar to just a white sluggo.
Yeah. What kind of plastics are you getting for that type? Like, what's the name of it? The chemical that you're using,
It beats the hell out of
or
me.
whatever. Like, if I were to, because you just said like there's salt water, there's fresh water,
Yeah,
there's
so
hardener.
I
my
can't
mind's
give
already
up any of
spinning.
my secrets of
Fair enough.
my blend.
Fair enough.
But I mean, there's just so many. It's like anything else.
Yeah.
So when you see these guys making these plugs, they have all these colors that they do for all these plugs. Every time you get another one, you want that same one, right?
Mhm.
So these guys have charts. People don't understand this.
Yeah.
These guys have charts of what their plugs are supposed to look like every single time out. Because you can't have 10 different batches of plugs, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the same thing with the soft plastics, or same thing with bucktails. How many different color bucktails you see out there? I tie my own. I keep it white.
Yeah.
White works for everything.
Absolutely.
But you can be blurple or red or just a whole gamut of colors out there that really don't mean shit to the striper,
Right.
you know?
Yeah, white's just the divine color, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can use the white on dark nights,
Yeah.
light nights, same with the black. Use the black on light nights, dark nights. Just depends on a whole host of other conditions that you're looking at. Watercolor,
Yeah.
water clarity, how much wave action you got going on, how much current you got coming across you.
Yeah.
I mean, it gets pretty technical.
How many did you have to go through like a whole gambit of like different concoctions till you found the one that
Oh
works
yeah,
for
I
you?
wasted so many. It's not even funny. I probably went through at least a couple of gallons of stuff before I settled on what I
The
liked.
first one
you
you
know?
throw, it just dissolves as soon as it hits the water.
Well,
That
it's
would be
funny you
mine.
say that because if you don't heat the stuff the right way
Yeah.
and get it mixed properly, you know, my first couple were like goo.
Yeah.
You know, the next ones, all of a sudden they're burnt. You know, so until you get that practice in and the feel for it and the way you're pouring it and all that stuff, because it can get clumpy if you let it get too soft or it's too hard or you're not hot enough or you're too cool, and it can,
You have the patience of a saint. I feel like this was something going into
Yeah,
this
it's-
conversation. Like, I'm going to give this a shot. Now I'm just like, you know what? I think I got enough
Yeah,
going on
I
right
know,
now.
yeah.
I think I'll keep paying $6.99 a pack. No.
Well,
Well, you're getting it for
the whole
$6.99.
thing for that
actually-
now is that now that I've got this little system I figured out,
Yeah, now
Yeah.
you're good to
It's-
go.
it's good to go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now you're good to go.
and then I can feed my buddies too. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clay likes it.
I know,
Yeah.
a friend with benefits.
we
right
we
there.
all work together.
Yep.
You know, when we're out there and stuff. So it's one of those things.
And that's another thing too that a lot of the people we've been talking to lately, everyone's got their own little group of guys that they're talking to, comparing notes. I mean, you guys got
Yep.
your little group of 5. Eric Harrison last week talked about going out with some of his buddies on the kayaks.
Yep.
Okay, we talked. I mean, me, him, and Fallon, and a couple other guys are always kind of in touch with what's going on a daily basis. And
Yep.
And how far does your group go?
the tight group,
Not very.
not
does it?
very.
Yeah.
The tight group, probably 4 guys. Yep.
Learned my lesson years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because then it just turns into a shit show.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things too, right? You want to be buddies with people, you want to help them out sometimes, and it's just like, I mean, even with this with Miles and the Merrimack and stuff, it's like it's tough, you know.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm
The
sure.
good thing about our group is, like, say me and James go out Monday, Tuesday night, and then Sam and Aaron go out not till like Wednesday or Thursday, and we fished here 2 nights with nothing. All right, we're gonna go over here.
Well, exactly, and then that helps you out. I mean, for us, like the thing that we're mostly open about, like as a charter fleet, is the mackerel.
Yep.
You know, every day.
Yeah.
And that's just so helpful when guys split up and go in 3 different directions and can compare some kind of notes. Didn't really make a difference this year, but you know, that's always that's the one thing that because we want to get our bait and then just go at that point. But you know, and having somebody that you trust, somebody that you know, to give you good information.
Yep.
You know.
But back to that whole down the rabbit hole thing
Yeah.
is that up until a couple of years ago, I went out, did my thing, fished hard, all that. But the last, I'd say 3 seasons, I've really started to do things differently as far as drilling down on all that stuff, not just like with that plastic or the way I like my bucktails or crushing barbs and things like that, but actually looking at everything in the surf, you know, the current, the clarity, the moon phase, and all that stuff, but actually drilling down even deeper than some of just those basic ones, you know?
Absolutely.
It's the only way that you can, if you want to step your game up to be into those.
You can't stay
Larger
the
fish.
same. You can't stay the same
Yeah.
every day. You have to be able
Yeah.
to adapt and recognize those patterns.
Like a lot of the spots where we fish, there's bars. You know, you have your beach, your trough, and your bar.
Mhm.
We'll walk out there and we'll see, oh, we don't like the way the waves are coming over that bar, so we're not even going to fish that bar because we know how we need those waves coming over that bar to move to another spot.
And that's the difference. You know, that's the difference. That's why you guys are going out there more often than not being successful. Because it's time on the water and then recognizing those situations and, you know, and like you said, you know, we could talk all day about hooks. We could talk all day about lures and line and all that
Yeah.
cool shit that like anyone can go into a magazine and read it, but nothing replaces the effort, the communication, and
Yeah, at the
the
end of the
willingness
day-
to adapt.
At the end of the day, it's not the arrow, it's the Indian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
And even as far as like your logbooks and stuff, I'm pretty lax with mine. I know Clay's pretty lax with his. But as far as like just keeping your tabs on what days you're out, you know, I think I counted 105 days last year I was out.
Just striper fishing?
just striper fishing.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, you got to do it.
That's a lot of info, and that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and most of it is, either picture based or a couple of notes. Some guys go overboard. I know a couple of buddies that I fish with that they keep really detailed stuff. I don't really keep that detailed, but it's because of the amount of time that I'm out there. Those guys are about half
Correct.
or less than what I'm out there. So I'm seeing it day in and day out, which enables me to be a little lax with certain things.
I think that's too, because when I was younger, I used to take really pristine notes, good notes, and everything.
Yeah, no need to check the logs. You're going to be there anyway.
Yeah, nowadays, but there are definitely times when, like, I'll think back, or I'll even look at my log. All right, what was I doing on this date this year? What was that moon doing? What was that tide like? The big things for me being out there, I think you have your kind of consistent things, and then you have your oddball days. Like you have all right, a moon phase that like you might have had a great day or something, or a wind shift or something like that. A temperature, a water temperature thing has been a big thing I've noticed the last 5 or 6 years for me. That in certain situations, a water temp has been a huge game changer to a successful trip, and
because that'll change your bait.
That changes your bait. It changes where you put your bait.
Right.
It changes. Being in a boat, we're mobile. On any given day, I can be from Rye to Halibut Point off of Cape Ann. That's too much. I can be in 3 feet to 100 feet off the beach. It's too much.
Well, plus us having the Merrimack with so much water coming down, that changes a lot.
That water clarity and the water temperature. I mean, there was a few years ago, I was fishing Jop at the end of July in 84-degree water.
Yeah.
84. Like,
So
I used
we
to have
could
a
have
rule
a-
73, cut it off.
Yeah.
Like 74, done. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could have a weather event 40 miles up the river.
Yep.
We don't see any of it down here in the mouth. Next thing you know, day and a half later,
You get chocolate milk coming down.
chocolate milk's come down. It's awful.
Yeah.
So from the surf, like you're talking about all that huge area you're running, we can't do that.
Yeah.
So I kind of keep my spots down to a minimum. Then Clay has a few other spots that he likes to go that I will frequent once I know some other information from him. Because I can't. Because to go from one spot to another, it could be an hour.
It's time. It's
Yeah.
time. You can't do it. But even though we do have that we have that option to move, I really try to know my area really well.
That's what I was just going to get to. Like, a lot of guys ask, and we narrow it down to 4 or 5 spots, and then
Yep.
know, low tide, high tide,
Yep.
southwest, northeast. Like,
I mean,
those 4 or 5 spots in every aspect.
I might be killing fish on the beachfront, like, I don't know, in front of Surfland, in like 20 feet of water, and like, you'll do the pattern kind of coat back there the next day, and then you feel it start to fade out, and like most people are like, oh, what do we do? Well, I'll start off maybe sliding a mile down the beach and fishing that 20 foot of water again, and just kind of cruising around. Maybe with a certain wind, I'll go shallower or deeper 10 feet and find that little line. Because they're
A little tougher for us on the beach.
little tougher for you. A little tougher for you. But I think the point is I'm
all the
not,
same.
oh shit, they weren't in front of Plum Island right now. I got to go to Rye real quick. Or, oh my God, I'm going to shoot all the way down
That's
to
what we'll
Gloucester.
get from a lot of guys, too, that are asking us questions. They, chase the reports.
Yeah.
They fish Rye one day, and then 2 days later, they're down in Marblehead, and then they're at the canal, and then
And they never get good. They never get really good.
And
Yeah,
we just
but if you're reading the report, you're too late.
Right,
Yeah, that's
right.
the way I see it.
but like James said, like, we had a really tough, July into August, but we just stuck it out because we knew it was going to
gonna
happen
happen.
one of these times.
Yeah.
We could have went down the canal. We could have went to Rye. We could have but no, we just stuck it out the nights on the island, and then we just went out one night and.
This July and August was definitely the most interesting July and August I fished up here in a while.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, it was good. There was plenty of fish around for us on the boats, but really lack of the big numbers of big fish. We were getting our slot fish and plenty of schoolies, but they kind of weren't where they normally were in the numbers that we were hoping for, and like we had to switch up different tactics like every 3 weeks or so. Like you have 2 weeks doing it one way, then you kind of had to switch off and kind of follow where those fish were going. And it was just different for like I'm pretty much fishing one general area for about 6 weeks. I was going out of my mind, but that's where everything was, you know. That end of the season, that's what they were sticking for me.
Yeah, we definitely had our struggles, but like Clay said, we just kind of grounded out and did our thing. You know, there was one weekend I had 20 miles on my feet.
Oof.
You know,
In the sand.
in the sand.
Oof.
Maybe I should get rid of my boat and get in shape.
Yeah. Oh no, for
You
sure.
must feel great though after you know.
Oh
like,
yeah, right now I feel like crap because I'm not doing anything, storing up for the summer.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, it does so much good for the body and the soul.
Mhm.
I mean, you guys didn't get to see SpaceX rocket go up, did you?
Not from the water.
I was on the beach
So cool.
Oh,
when
actually-
that thing went up.
Actually,
Yeah.
no, I think I was. We were.
It was in September, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we were actually at the what was that? The
Oh, we're at the River
River
Ruckus?
Ruckus, yeah.
Yeah.
And I look over the sky, and I brought my boat up to Haverhill, and I'm like, "What the hell is that?" And like it was
Yeah.
almost like they had just had the fireworks going off yet, but it was like almost like
Yeah.
foggy out.
Yeah, it was almost
you know?
foggy out.
And I could just see the glow going up, and I was just like, I
And
don't
we're
know
like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, that's
Did the
wild.
Russians just light one up?
Yeah, I
You
know,
know what?
seriously.
But it was later on we found out it was SpaceX rocket going
Yeah.
up
So-
in Florida.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, it's
insane.
nuts, isn't it?
That far away. That's
And it was that clear on Plum Island. It was crazy.
We were talking about this on the ride down to the boat show yesterday. We were with my buddy Danny Lee, a kid that worked on the party boats with us. Wicked fishy kid, wicked fishy guy, and he does a lot of. He's into the offshore. He's into everything, but he does a lot of canyon trips and stuff like that. And one of the things we were talking about was the overnight canyon trips. Man, just out there, 120 to 200 miles offshore
A whole new world.
at night. The stars and the things you see out there.
I could only imagine.
It's just surreal. Like
Yeah.
we're fishing for swordfish and like I'm just staring up at the sky. I'm like, holy shit! I feel like I'm gonna
Yeah.
get abducted by something.
Yeah, it's
right
like you're
now.
in Avatar.
How can you not be there? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just there's no light pollution, and it's just like this is awesome.
Just all fishy stuff going on
Yeah.
all around you.
Even
So-
even our trips to Cuddy Hunk
Yeah.
or Block Island, when you're out in the southwest point, there isn't much
Right?
light pollution going on,
Especially Cuddy.
and it's phenomenal. I can only imagine what it's like out in the canyons.
I can't even describe it.
Can you see the Milky Way?
Like you legit can, man.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
It's
awesome.
unbelievable. And then know that you're fishing over a continental shelf that's 6,000 feet deep. And then I caught a 13-foot manta ray that took me 4 hours to reel it, 3.5 hours.
shit.
Yeah, we thought it was a huge swordfish at first.
Ugh.
And I'm like, I don't know. I thought it was a shark. And then by the time daybreak came up, it came back to the boat and it was a manta ray. I'm like, this
But
sucks.
they have those crazy party boat trips out there, right? That's like
Yeah.
2 days and
Yeah. Actually, I think our Captain's Association, we're talking about maybe doing one together in the fall.
but
That'd be
guys
cool.
will catch a mahi and tuna.
Yeah, it's
Just
crazy.
everything.
I got down to the boat that we were going on, and again, it was for my brother who was filming some fishing stuff back then for like sponsors and things like that, for the company he worked for, and I got to go with John Galvin, who's like renowned, like he was a dude, you know what I mean? And I get down to the boat, and I'm just talking to the mate Mike, and he's like, man, we just had a weekend at I'm Big Eye. He's like, we caught like 12, 20, whatever it was, some ridiculous number. And I just go, oh shit. He goes, yep, you know what's gonna happen. Yeah,
I
no,
say that all the time. That's the worst thing to hear.
I hate
like
that.
walking out to the beach. Hey, how you doing? Oh, you should have been here yesterday. It's like you almost like turn right around. You're
Yeah,
like,
I know.
Yep.
So I was actually going to ask you the question though, like talking about the Elon Musk rocket going up. What is the wildest thing you've ever seen at night on the beach?
Oh, the wildest thing, the coyote came down, plucked my buddy Aaron's backpack and brought it up on
Oh
the
my god!
dunes.
Yeah, you must have
He
some
was
good
chasing
stuff
him
on
up there. It was crazy.
Yeah, that's funny.
Crazy.
He was chasing the coyote.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
man, that must have had some
Yeah,
nice
I
plugs.
mean, we
in
had
there.
a lot of that, and you run across the occasional couple out there doing their thing, and we're in the water. They don't even see us. They don't even stop doing whatever they're doing.
Take the hooks off a dock and throw it up there.
Or I'm out there one night, and next thing you know, this boat beaches itself right up onto the beach. Like, what the hell is this guy doing? Drunk off his ass.
Oh my God! Was that the one that sat on the beach for like 3 weeks?
A couple years ago, yeah.
So a funny story about that.
I was out there when he came
That's
up on the
crazy
beach.
I know him. I'm not. Yeah, can we just edit that part out?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you.
What I know about? Yeah. 120. You remember 120?
Yeah, it always
128.6.
It always seems to wrap around coyotes. Like we've heard them chasing rabbits.
Fuck that.
Or the other thing that's like one of the greatest things that happened is I'm out there fishing and the sun's coming up a little bit, and a herd of deer come right down, and they're just frolicking in the water.
Oh, that's cool.
That's really
I
cool.
mean, it was just unbelievable. They didn't even know I there. And then next thing you know, 5 minutes later, they just ran back off into the woods.
Yeah,
Wow.
Like,
I've seen them
that's
crossing
crazy.
the river on the way out in the morning sometimes.
Have
yeah,
you?
yeah.
Nice.
Oh, that's cool, man. I didn't realize there was coyotes out there.
Oh, we were at Pavilion one night, and it was 4:00. We were just
At the pavilion with all
Yeah,
that
wait a
light
second,
lights?
Edit that stuff out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right, a little spot specific going on there. But anyways,
we were at Sun Beach, and we were just tired. It was slow night, and we're taking our gear off, and then we just hear that screech that a rabbit makes.
Yo,
oh yeah,
And then we could just hear the 3 or 4 coyotes just howling, and that screech. We were like,
I get that right
literally
behind
right behind us.
I get that right behind my house, dude. Last week, I think I told you. Last week, I got woken up in the middle of the night. I think they got a deer behind my yard because it was like 20 minutes, a half an hour, and I'm just like, oh, that poor bastard. I didn't fall back to sleep. I was wide awake after that. But yeah, that rabbit scream. Yeah, that's like sketchy.
but there's always stuff going on out there,
Yeah.
I'll be walking out or something, and you see a couple other guys, and I like to duck into the water and let them walk by. They don't even, and they don't even know you're there.
Yeah.
Or
We can edit this one out too. We saw 2 girls just take their clothes right off. We were
Yeah,
the refuge one day.
Yeah.
It was 6:00. We were getting ready to go out, and they were coming in. We're getting our wetsuits on and stuff.
in
They
the
just
parking lot,
right in the park.
And they're like,
parking lot
"What?"
7. They were just like
dropped it.
Just dropped it.
complete,
Walking around.
2 complete Lakers
Yeah.
girls.
Talking to us like it's nothing.
Just talking to
Dry
you.
off and
We're going like this, like because they were 25, 28 years old. We're like,
We're like, blah, 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 blah.
and they were just like, whoop.
I thought it only happened if you had boats.
Listen,
it was just
I've been
weird.
telling Chris, if you want to score the woman of your life, just go out to Sandy Point. That's all you have to do.
But we're walking out, and we're just like,
Did
did
that
that just
happen?
fucking happen? Like,
I'm surprised that wasn't the first thing you told us about.
That's funny. I
No, it's happened.
I just imagine
before.
Clay looking.
Also, there was these 2 older ladies down on Sandy Point, and they had just about nothing on them. Like, oh, please help me, please. And they wanted to chat.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not here to chat. I'm here to fish. And besides, you guys got to cover up or something. Some of the things that you see is just crazy.
there was the
You wonder what they're thinking.
naked couple at Block once too.
Oh yeah. Oh jeez.
We're walking out 7:30, 8:00. Sunset. We're just there's 2 people coming. We're like, okay, and we just keep going like this, and we're like,
So that's a thing. Huh?
and they just
it must be a
holding
thing.
hands, just walk by us, gave us like the.
Well,
Yeah, hi guys.
I appreciate you guys keeping your clothes on.
Yeah.
Well, if you did that, you'd be in the back of
yeah.
a cruiser by
Oh,
the
you
time
got
you made
that
it
right.
back to the dude.
You know what would be funny if one of you guys showed up with like a skin tone colored wetsuit on? It's like I'm walking down the beach. Like, what is going on right now?
Put a sluggo on your belts.
Or like one of the ones that has like the chest hair drawn on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the t-shirts you can get. That would be a riot. Oh, that's funny.
What brands of wetsuits are out there?
I tell everybody if they're gonna get a wetsuit, go try them on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't buy them online because you'll end up hating it and never use it. But I have an XL. There's Henderson. There's just so many. But the one that I got the beginning of last season was a Patagonia.
Mm-hmm.
Now this one was about $450. Pricey, right?
Yeah,
About the cost of a good pair of waders, right?
it was about that. Yeah.
But Patagonia, bar none. I had a patch that was ripped up on it and stuff. I send it out, $20. They send it back, done.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's a lot of time with this stuff. That's what you're paying for. Is
Yeah.
when you're investing in the company, they take care of you.
Customer service in the fishing world is so important because we beat the shit out of our gear, and sometimes it's worth paying that extra money just to get that quick return or to get the phone call back or the part shipped to you.
Yeah, and like for example, rods. I busted up a rod. I was out on Cutty Hunk a couple years ago. Broke my rod. My fault. Fell in a rock. Continued to fish. Anyways, I got back home. Called. I needed a rod right away because I'm doing a turnaround and I'm heading towards Block again. The manufacturer that I had with my rod, guy had one at my house the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You can't beat
was,
that.
Yep.
Wow.
It was a higher end rod. You know, I fish with a lot of ODM. I know other guys clay fish with Lamb Glass and Century and different things like that.
I got one of those ODM Frontier X, the boat rods. It's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Is that the tuna rod?
Yeah, I got it for a tuna. It's like throws 3 to 6 ounces.
I actually almost bought that at Tomo's yesterday.
Yeah,
I have the Frontier X surf rod.
Yeah.
It's I think it's 2 to 6 or 2 to 5. And that's my go-to rod.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Although this year I bought a different one piece 11-footer, their Evolution, and things incredibly light. I mean, I think between that and the Van Staal 250 I have on there, I'm going to fish all night long. Not have any shoulder pain.
Yep.
Now, the Van Staals have always kind of been the go-to surf reel. Is that still hold true? Anybody competing with that? Or
there's other manufacturers of a company called Visser, and then there's also Z-Bass.
Z-Bass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell people, go if you're gonna surf fish and you're gonna be wet. Buy a mid-range reel to make sure you like to surf fish first.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't go buy.
So, what would be an appropriate mid-range reel for people that might be trying this?
I would say something,
in your opinion,
in the range of like a Penn
Authority, the new Authority. It's pretty
New
good.
Authority, or the Penn Battle, or the Shimano has a few.
I think the Saragosas are waterproof.
They're not waterproof.
Well, they say they are.
They say they are.
Yeah.
They're not even close to
Not even close.
I could take that thing out a half a season, it'd be destroyed.
Yeah.
Van Staal's not waterproof.
Not really. Yeah.
They're not waterproof.
Yeah.
I don't care what you say. I don't care what the companies say. A half a season in the surf, and I go and I open up that Van Staal, there's water in it.
Yeah.
But the thing with the Van Staal is there are so few parts. It's like the old Penn 704 and 706. You open up that reel, there isn't much that can go wrong in there. You know, you look at like Saragossa and stuff, there's a lot of parts in there.
That's the one thing about Shimano, man. They put a lot of parts in their reels.
But on the other side of the Shimano's, smooth as silk.
That drag, they're so smooth. They're
And
light.
their customer service is fantastic.
Fantastic.
Right?
Yeah. That's why I fish Sieglers for my conventional reels for my bait fishing. Same thing. Like they're so easy to work on. You know, I get like a little pack of bearings just in case I need them.
Well, you should give a shout out to the company too for what they just did for you.
Yeah, so I've had my set of Sieglers right now for 3 years, and you know they just beat up. They get the shit kicked out of them, you know, and especially with this year when instead of cleaning my reels, we were tuna fishing and running around, so they were a little beat up, little crusty. And in their lifetime warranty, made in America, I sent them down to Siegler. In 6 weeks, they just sent all 6 reels back. I actually had one from, God, it wasn't even a Siegler, it was a Truth, their old name.
Yes.
And it was in my basement. I think someone dropped it in the water, and I just left it in my basement and like done. And the thing was toasted, right? I'm like, lifetime warranty, I'll send it down there. I think it was like $30 a reel. Dude, they came all back, all completely serviced. I'll show you guys downstairs. they actually gave me a pack of all the parts they took out because they're still salvageable. So they went through, they replaced every bearing, every drag, every clicker knob, every spring, everything, and gave me the little package because it was still good in case I needed spare parts. And they even swapped out, they came out with a new reel foot. So I sent an email. The reel foot I have, they have 2 little posts to put the backing plate on,
Yeah.
and it's annoying. I hate it. It's the one thing I didn't like about the reel, but I'm probably the only one that notices. So I think it was for an extra like $20. I had them throw the new backing, the new thing on,
The low profile.
then the
reel
low
seat.
profile
Yeah.
reel seat, and basically, for I think what was it, $20-$30 from the fix down there, 6 reels. I got 6 brand new reels sent back to me. And you can't beat that.
Yeah,
You
for
really
sure.
can't.
I follow them on Instagram as well.
Yeah, Wes,
know.
the owners are looking at this
Yeah,
guy.
I'm a CNC machinist by trade.
Yeah,
So, so you know exactly what
So
he's
some
doing,
of their
yeah.
equipment down there is the exact same equipment that we use up here.
Oh,
so
stop,
yeah, yeah,
stop
it's-
building some reels.
well,
we got to make the Jewkes jiggers.
Well, did you see? Did you see the? Because they took the SGN. Did you see the ultralight one that they made?
with the cutouts in it. Oh, I wanted that
Yeah.
one so bad.
Unbelievable. I was like, I think it was like.
I mean, I do
500
make my
bucks.
own pen stalls.
Yeah.
Take the old pen 704 and 76s and
Yeah.
put the.
Oh, you do
slots
your
in.
old
Yeah,
drilling
yeah.
out and stuff?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. If you get a chance, would you mind sending us some pictures? I'd
Sure,
love
I
to throw it
will.
up on the website.
Yeah,
Yeah. You're just a hobby dude. This is awesome. He's
Oh,
got
you're
it
a
all.
machinist, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what you do. Yeah.
yeah. The job that I have, we don't have the opportunity to do a lot of work on our own time, for whatever reason. But I stick those things in at lunchtime and work on them. Then I do my own powder coating at home and stuff too. So
Yeah. This guy, that's awesome.
Oh yeah. I got the eel tank set up at home. The whole 9 yards.
And I wish you lived right down the
I just-
street, right? You'd be like a kid in a candy store with this guy.
Yeah.
Dan, you got to step your game up. I want
know,
to
seriously.
a little more.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's just a complete passion, and then
Absolutely.
you throw in my lure collection. Now you're talking to a whole nother animal there too.
Yeah.
I
Well,
collect mostly gibbs from the say 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
And then speaking of hobbies, one of my hobbies, I stopped and had one of my hobbies before I came tonight. I stopped at the Red Cross.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Right?
awesome.
Nice.
I've been a platelet donor for 15 years or so.
Okay.
So that's
So
kind of like,
how did that come about? What's the reason?
well, it was just kind of out of the blue. We had 9/11 happen,
Yep.
right? And everybody ran and did their blood donations and stuff to help out and all that stuff. Yeah, I did the same. Then I kind of went off of that. And then for whatever reason, I went back to give again. And I gave that one time whole blood. And they called me back and says, "Oh, your platelet count is high. Would you like to give it a try?" I said, "Sure." And then after that first time, I found out really where those platelets go. You're talking kids with cancer mostly. I have buddies that have had leukemia and stuff. And the platelets are so important for those people to survive. It's crazy. So once I got that ball rolling, it was, I think the 5th time in, I actually got word that I was a match for a particular donor. I'm like, what are you talking about? A match? Well, they called me in and says, you got to come in and give for this particular donor. They don't give you names or anything like that. But just that feeling of satisfaction that person is probably going to die if you don't go and give, right?
Yeah.
And it just kind of snowballed from there. And, I think the end of this year coming up to next year I'll have 300 donations in.
Oh,
It's amazing.
wow.
So my
What, about
platelet
20 a
donation,
year?
yeah, I do roughly 20 a year,
Wow.
anywhere between 18 and 24 a year.
That's
The max you
amazing,
can give
James.
is 24 a year because
Yeah.
of your fluid losses.
Yeah.
So when I go and give, it's roughly 2-hour donation.
Oh, really?
I'm laying in a bed like this.
So this is legitimate time out of your schedule to go
Yeah,
do this
yeah.
and everything. Wow.
Yeah. And I have mine scheduled every Monday,
Yeah.
5:00. I go do my thing. Wife knows that I'm going to be there at that time. And it's probably the only thing that I won't miss a tide. I will miss a tide for.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Good for you, man.
Yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah, it's I tie it into the fishing too, because the guys that I knew that had leukemia or, car accidents and things like this. So if you go give whole blood, next thing you know, you could potentially save lives of 3 people.
No shit.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look into it.
That's
one
amazing.
of my donations, I put up. I said, "Oh, I donated," and they always let you know where your donation went. Well, I happened to go to Catholic Memorial in Manchester, New Hampshire. Well, I fished with this guy who's a fly fisherman who's a cardiac nurse at Catholic Memorial. Sends me a message. Hey, James, I swear to God, I think I just put your platelets into my cardiac patient.
No kidding.
Wow.
Amazing, right?
Wow.
Is that crazy?
Yeah, that's
Wow.
wild.
It's insane. It's insane.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And this all started off by you just giving blood, and they
Just-
actually called you and told you.
Yeah,
that-
they said, I have a high platelet count. Would you like to give it a shot? I said, why not?
right. Oh, cool.
Because when it all boils down to, we all have to really kind of step back and take a look at things.
Mm-hmm.
Where can you give back? I know you're a school teacher, right?
Yep.
That's a saint's job, because I'd probably kill them all.
I'm close.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
But this is my way of kind
Yeah.
of giving back. And then we have Clay here. Clay takes care of our juniors program.
Oh, I would love to get into
So
that a little
he
bit.
does a tremendous job with that. But the other thing that Clay does to give back is he is a member of the Lions Club.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff that they do. Unbelievable stuff they do. Between filling the ambulance at Christmas time with toys,
Yeah.
making sure kids get their lunches for the week.
Yeah. It takes a village, man.
Huge.
Yeah, it does.
Huge.
Absolutely. Clay, so we'll start with the Surfcasters and the kids stuff.
Yep.
I mean that program is amazing.
It is an amazing program. I think it's one of the things that make Plum Island Surfcasters a special group.
I agree.
They've been doing it since like mid-'70s, I believe, the juniors program.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for about 10 years now. I've been a member there for 15 years. But then, I was taking my daughter, and then the guy that was running the juniors, he couldn't do it anymore. So I said, hey, I'm bringing my daughter anyway.
Right.
So I jumped right in, and then
So what
10
are
years later, I'm still.
the age groups for some of the juniors? So
Our juniors for our club is anyone 18 and under.
18 and under. Oh,
Yeah.
sweet.
So,
So 5-year-olds, 16-year-olds, all that. All those
we
people
get
can
we
do
get
it?
a pretty good mix of age limits. I would say the target age is like 10, 12. That's like
that's probably the easiest one to work with
that's
for sure.
That's the part of the target range. When we do get a little bit younger, we do get some older, but that age is the target
It's a
age.
nice
that-
coachable age.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
One
So-
of the things that I like is, even though I don't have any younger kids anymore, I still go to the juniors events.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so fun to watch.
To
James
watch,
helps
yeah.
out so much.
Clay getting these kids on a largemouth bass or a striped bass or a carp or something. It's just
It's my
It's
favorite.
crazy.
It's my favorite part as a charter captain. Like I'm fortunate enough to get
Yep.
quite a few of those types of kids, and you get to see kids who start off. Like how many kids have you had that have been there for 10 years now?
Right. a
Start when
bunch.
they're 5, 6. Now they're 16, 17.
I have one kid that was fishing with us. He was 14, 15. Now he's 19 in the Marine.
Yep.
Stuff like that. It's just really cool.
It's just so cool, right?
yeah.
I got kids that come out and they just now they're so into fishing, whether they're from the area,
Yep.
maybe a family that's from like, I don't know, New York or Virginia or that comes up here on vacation and come fishing with me. And I've seen their kids grow from middle school to high school and college to, it's nuts.
I have one particular kid right now, Andrew. He's an absolute nut, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll get emails from his mom all the time with pictures of him with carp or some crappie that
On
he
his
catches.
own.
Carp, can I have his number? Can you show me and Dan how to
seriously.
catch these damn things?
I get this and I see her name and I'm like, oh, all right, I know who that is. And then like the title of the email is like, I blame you. And then here's Andrew. He's got 3 rods, a tackle ball. You know, that's the stuff that
Currently, how many kids are involved in the juniors program?
we have. I want to say a little bit over like 75.
Wow.
No kidding. Wow.
So anyone
You know.
listening to this, and they can be anywhere in the air. Well, they don't necessarily have to be in the air, but like, right, people who like are into fishing from around here. Is it not?
Yep.
Is it
So our juniors
geographically-
program, you have to be a member of the club.
Okay. Yeah.
But
The adult does or the kid does?
the,
Well,
the adult does.
the adult
yeah.
does. Yep.
So our club of the Palm Island Surfcasters, a membership covers your family.
Gotcha.
Your husband, wife, kids. We have some, grandfathers that sign up that list their grandchildren.
Yeah.
So as long as you're a member of the club, you're welcome to come to our juniors events. And club supplies bait, tackle, equipment if needed.
What a better deal than that, man. If you're somebody
Yeah.
who's looking for something to do,
And
for
we
your
have
kid, get
events.
'em outside.
This year we didn't have a ice fishing event, but we usually do events from February right to October.
Yeah.
Once a month.
So what kind of events do you got coming up for the kids?
Our next one will be in April. We don't do one in March just because of the weather and stuff, but we'll take them freshwater fishing in April.
Nice.
Shiners, worms, that
Yeah.
type of stuff. And
Yeah. And then do you have other things planned? Like what?
yeah,
what
like
do we got?
May, like May's usually the carp trip.
Yeah.
And then June, July is striper trips.
Yeah.
We usually take August off just because of school vacations, but then start back stripers on the beach September, October.
No, always. If there's anything I can do from either the charter business or anything from Mouse and Merrimack stuff, you let us know.
We do
Great.
get
Yeah, that's
huge help from the refuge.
Yep.
We'll
those
do a
guys
trip
let
out
us
on the
out.
refuge, and Gareth Williams, he's the wildlife.
Well, think about what you're giving these kids, right? You're giving them an appreciation of nature.
Yep.
You're giving them opportunities to speak with adults.
Yep.
Like that's huge, man.
No,
Interacting
and
with
we're
adults.
speaking to them like adults.
like adults.
Not kids.
Yep.
Because you have to teach them how to fish, right?
Yep.
It's not a kid's game.
They're meeting other kids from different areas, different backgrounds,
Yep.
but
Yep.
share a similar hobby.
Yep.
Right? You're promoting positive things in their life, giving them things to look forward to. It's just a tremendous program for the price of, what is it, like $70 to become a member or something?
45.
45 to become a member. Like,
Yep.
guys, anyone listening, sign up, be a member of Plum Island Surfcasters.
Yep.
And
And
if
the
you have
great
kids
thing
involved,
that
get them involved.
we've been able to do through fundraising the last couple years is we send kids to Mohawk, the boat camp in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Erica Lee.
Yeah, the Ercole.
Yep.
Yep.
So last year we sent 3 kids. This year we're sending 5
Wow, that's amazing.
for a week of boat camp.
Yeah, that's big bucks too. That's awesome. Good
Yep.
for you
Yep.
guys.
They do such a great job.
Yeah.
We they have a couple different camps, but we specifically do the boat camp.
Yeah. Well, we've been doing it forever.
So they've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
So that's
Then we have, the one of your kids is getting close to graduating high school. We have a scholarship program that they can apply for. One year, my daughter, a number of years back, my daughter was the recipient of it. So that's pretty cool.
She must have got her brains from her mother then.
Oh, you got that right. You got that right. Although funny story, she's down in Maryland right now, but she always tells her mother, Dad taught me this and Dad taught me that. When she was at home, it was always, why is Dad doing that?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
funny.
That's too funny. That's usually how it works,
Yeah.
though, right? And
That's how you know you're doing it right, I guess.
you also got the tournament. The kids have their own bracket in the tournament too, right?
They
so
do.
there's kids junior
so
division.
we have a juniors division in our year-long tournament for the club.
Yeah.
At the end of the season, we give out trophies and plugs to the kids. It's really cool.
Fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Good. We need more of them out there. We need
We
the
do.
next generation.
Yeah.
There seems to be like a big gap. Like I remember like when I got my captain's license and, it was like my buddies who were all with like probably 3 or 4 years of me. I'm 35 now. So I'm talking like when I was 15, like that range. And then there just seemed to be a big gap between like the next set of people like were 45 when I was 20. You know what I mean? That 25 to 45-year-old gap of people who were involved in the sport
Yep.
didn't seem to quite be there.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
I was
for sure.
when I first started chartering, I was the youngest by like 20, but now there's probably like a good 6-7 of us just in our river alone.
Yep.
And it's awesome.
And one of the good things, too, about the juniors program is every event we have for them, Clay makes it known it's not a babysitting service. So the parents actually are there with the kids.
Yep.
So you get to see some interaction between some of the surf casters and the kids and their parents and stuff, and see some of the amazed faces on the parents themselves, not just the kids.
And then the parents meet new people and have fun. It's just,
Well, that was one of the toughest things that when I took over the program, there was like a mom, she pulled up and like, okay, I'll see you at 2.
See you later, guys.
And I'm like, no, I'll show your kid how to tie, bait the hook.
Well,
but
as somebody who's responsible for situations like that, you know what I mean? You don't want 75 kids when you're the only person in charge.
Well,
you don't know them. You see them once a month.
Right.
You don't know anything about them.
right,
You're trying
I
to run
usually
things.
have 20 kids in an event, so I can't.
It's a safety issue more than anything.
James and a couple of the members always usually help me out, but
Yeah.
we can't watch them all and
So
and be safe,
and be safe.
And then also, if there happens to be big surf or something, there's always that cancellation possibility,
you can't say,
For
I lost
that
Johnny in the riptide. I threw my lure at him, but I couldn't snag him this time.
Yeah.
Benny got eaten by a shark. Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. It's like I said, getting those emails with the pictures that this kid's doing it on his own, or that's 100% worth it.
Yeah.
Once I get that.
But having our ability to go out and fish and do those things that we want all the time and put all this time and effort into these things, it's just important. I think that's why I'm good friends with Clay, is because it's important for him as well as me to give back those little things, you know?
Well,
I'm not little, but I don't mean to make it.
it's the same
that,
thing.
but
It's like I'm sure at some point in the line somebody gave that to you and like helped you.
100%.
Even if it was, something small, a small gesture, or like you asking a question about something as a kid about fishing, and someone just took the time out of their day to be polite and help you and like really get you into it and encourage you. Like it goes a long way. I wouldn't be here talking about saltwater fishing if I wasn't walking in Newburyport one day and some woman gave me a rod catching schoolies by the flea market. I'd probably still be in a pond bass fishing. I'd be fishing, but I probably wouldn't be, doing this kind of stuff.
Yep.
You just never know where it's going to go, and I think about that a lot. So I think every interaction you have with somebody, kids are impressionable,
Yep.
And you guys are good
And then
people
having
on top of
partners,
it.
like we both have great wives that understand our passion with some of this stuff. So they don't mind at all. They know where we are.
Do they ever fish with you?
No, never.
No.
Never. Nice.
My wife wants to go out and see some shooting stars. She doesn't want to fish.
Yeah.
She doesn't want anything to do with that. But, on the other side, she knows where I'm at, what I'm doing, when I'm off.
Yeah. So.
Even though I don't take my phone with me, as soon as I get off the water, it's send a message home. Yep, I'm off.
My mother and father fish together. My mom likes fishing a lot. She's good. Mary V can catch some fish, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good. So, all right, guys, we're about like 2 hours here. I appreciate you coming out.
Yeah,
We had a great talk.
Yeah, you guys are incredible guys. Really appreciate you having
No
you on
problem.
here.
Thanks for having us.
Talking about the club and everything you're doing too.
We just
it's
do
great.
it,
It's good stuff.
That's half the battle. It's getting out there, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that's what it is.
Yeah,
For sure.
time on the water. So great fishermen, great guys. All right, Clay and James, thank you
Thanks,
very
guys.
much. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Yeah, thanks
Appreciate it,
guys.
fellas.
Thank you much.